Mark. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Okay, great. So not a lot about me. You've already given my short bio, but I am a Texan, so you can trust me.
I thought you were from Virginia.
No, I live in Virginia, but I was born in Dallas.
All right.
And I lived there until I was 6 years old. My dad was with DuPont. And we got transferred from the second largest state to the second smallest. And I grew up in Delaware. So anyways, I'm an accidental retailer because my degree's in botany and biology. And I happened into this opportunity with Earth Shoe. You guys are too young to even remember Earth Shoes, but a Danish woman invents this shoe in the mid-70s. It's good for your feet. It's good for your back because the heel was lower than the front. Because when you're barefooted, you support the weight of your body with the heel of your foot, not the ball of your foot, unless some masochistic male decided to invent high heels and make you all walk around in these uncomfortable high heels. Anyways, back in the mid-70s, the shoe became a phenomenon and everybody had to have a pair. And we became the largest distributor of Earth Shoes in North America. So at 23, I had made my million. I had made the money. Signed dozens of 10-year leases in AA malls. And 2 years later, the parent company in Denmark goes belly up because they mismanaged the money. So one word of advice to everyone is if you sign a 10-year lease, negotiate a 2-year kick-out clause. That allows you to leave the lease if you're not doing the business you thought you would do. The only downside is the landlord has the same right and can ask you to leave in 2 years. But far better that than to owe 8 years on leases, dozens of leases with no business. So we lost all our money. So I got that out of the way very quickly. And I've done, listen, what you need to know about me is I've made more mistakes than all of you combined. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not taking enough risks. And I'm telling you today, during this pandemic, you better be taking some risks and trying some new things because the old things simply won't work. So let's get right started. Why is e-commerce and fulfillment important right now? Because the pundits are predicting that 70% of the business this holiday over the next 60 days will be done online. Now, I know that includes Amazon, and I know it includes the big boxes. So I'm not surprised that 70% will be done online. But what I'm here to tell the small independent business owner is I bet you're closer to 50%. I'm not saying you're going to do 70, but you're going to do way more e-commerce than you've ever done in the past. They're saying that walk-in traffic most likely will be down by 25%. So the notion that you're simply not going to see as many people as you did a year ago is real. You just won't see them because they're going to choose to shop the safest way. And what is the safest way? Sitting at home in your chair, ordering stuff online. What's that mean to you as an independent business owner? You're going to see people you've never seen before because people are trying out new venues based on searching and surfing the internet. So,
Mark, along with that,
yes,
some of the updates we were just talking about in Hunt County and Hopkins County, Leslie was sharing to me that the hospitals there are full. That's going to influence more people, as you're saying. They're not going to want to go out in public places.
They're just not. So I mean, Texas is in a heap of trouble as it is. So anyways, you're going to see two different types of customers. You're still going to see walk-in customers. Don't get me wrong. People are still going to get out and shop, but not to the level that they did in years past. And the weekend of Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday, that 4 days won't be as big as it's been in the past because all the big boxes have already started Black Friday deals. It started with Amazon going Prime Days, October 13th and 14th. that's when the holiday shopping season started. And what we're doing and what's happening is we're distancing people by time, meaning instead of everyone shopping that one weekend, they're going to shop over several weekends during November and December to spread out the crowd. So you're going to get that customer, then you're also going to find customers that are finding you online. And you've just been able to scale your business throughout the entire state, throughout the entire country, and quite literally throughout the world, because you're going to get found online. So just know that there's going to be a couple types of customers. And the only thing I encourage you is to use empathy and kindness this year, because people are freaked out. We're not used to this. It's been since March, and we're tired of it. Most people are sick of wearing masks, and most people are tired of the pandemic and the inconveniences that it causes. So here's my major pitch this time of year to independently owned businesses. You have a secret sauce. You have a special sauce because you've been successful inside the four walls of your store. And I don't care whether you're rural or you're in Fort Worth, you have the opportunity to be successful. I can go to any town in America and I've been rural. Don't you worry. Listen, I've done visits in Paris before. I've been to Sulphur Springs. Those aren't that rural. I've been to Appalachia in Kentucky. Talk about rural, that's rural. But I can find you a retailer in every one of those towns that is doing just fine. Why? Because they've got the secret sauce. They treat people differently, better, and more endearing than other people do. They get it. They have a personality for it. And it's usually the owner. It's usually the personality of the owner. And
let me just, I'm sorry to pause this for just a moment. While you continue talking, I'm going to stop that share for just a moment and make sure that no one else is trying to join us, because I just got a message from someone. If you want to continue talking, it's fine, but I did a message from someone. They weren't sure how to join. So if you don't mind, I'm going to.
No, go ahead. So what we're going to talk about today is e-commerce and fulfillment. And what I want to say is, if you're not in the e-commerce business already, if you're rural and just haven't thought about going online, I want you to do this. Every store has the 80-20 rule. And it's an old rule, and it's applied for many, many years. 20% of your inventory produces 80% of your revenue. So what I want you to do is pick out a dozen products that you know always sells well, and I want you to take pictures of them. And then I want you to post them on your social media, Instagram and Facebook, and then I want you to post them on your website. And then I just want you to tell the customer to call your store and order them online with a credit card. And then they're going to get their product the way they want to get it. Because I'm here to tell you about the 4 A's. The 4 A's now apply to everybody. The 4 A's stand for anytime, anywhere, any place, and any way. And what I'm saying to you is the customer wants to get their product this year the way they choose to. And you have to be able to satisfy them with that. So what's that mean? That means you've got to be able to ship. You've got to be able to deliver. You've got to be able to have curbside pickup. And you've got to be able to have pickup within your store and shopping as normal. So there's 4 different ways that you're going to go to market, because the customer wants those 4 different ways. So go to the next slide, if you will, Jennifer. So this secret sauce allows you, I want you to personalize the experience, because big boxes can't. And how do you personalize the experience with your good customers? Because the other 80-20 rule is that 20% of your customers produce 80% of your revenue. So you have customers that are paying your bills. So I want you to use their purchase history to personalize the selling process to them. And I want you to think I want to think of yourself as their personal shopper for their gift buying, because you know their taste level and you know what they like to buy. And it's a pretty good bet based on the algorithms that Amazon uses, that people's friends have similar buying habits. So if you know the customer well, you're going to know who they're buying for just as well, and be able to recommend products that you know you have in your assortment that'll best please them for gift buying. And the other adage during the gift buying season is that most people give gifts they like to own themselves. So there's nothing wrong with you saying to a customer, how about one for yourself? Don't we all deserve a gift this year? We've been to heck and back. Let's reward ourselves. So personalize the experience as much as you can, because the big boxes can't. And I want you to be unique. And what's unique mean? It doesn't mean necessarily different. Unique means that you're one of a kind. And I want you to be able to finish this sentence. I am the only store in Paris, Texas, that. Or I am the only store in Texas that does this. And then I want you to be able to finish that sentence. That's your differentiation. And everybody's got to have a freak flag that they fly that no one else flies. You've got to do something better than anybody else. And that builds relationships. And the other point I want to make right now is, don't be worrying so much about 2021,
but you didn't enter this
and pay attention to the next 60 days.
I know.
Because the next 60 days are just too important to your bottom line.
I did push on your end.
Particularly when it comes to profit, because it's about profit margins and it's about selling the right products. So why is e-commerce important? Because geographically, it overcomes all the limitations of being in a rural town, because anybody can find you. I read a survey that was conducted back in March, and the number one thing on the consumer's mind was, will I be able to be in a safe place when I go shopping? So they were all about safety and how antiseptic you had made your place to shop in. Now, they did the survey again in October, and safety is number 2, because they feel like you've had the time to prepare your store to be safe for them to shop in. So what's become the number 1 driver for people today? Convenience. They want to be able to shop with you conveniently, easily. They want to be able to check out on your website, no muss, no fuss. So they're looking for someone that has their execution down. And that's what you've had time to work on for the last 6 months. So when I say selling online, what's e-commerce really means? It means more than having a shopping cart on your website and a contactless way for them to pay. It means more than that. The biggest I think the next slide shows them the biggest e-commerce platforms there are. Shopify is the number 1 platform. I'm sorry, Jennifer?
I said, just wave to me if I need to move them further, faster or something.
Well, go back real quick, because I don't want to jump to this one quite yet. So I'm going to talk about the 5 platforms for e-commerce, and it goes beyond a shopping cart, and because you can create a store on Etsy, you can create a store on Facebook now, on Facebook Shops, you can go to Amazon Marketplace, you can have a shop on Amazon. So there are many ways to go online without necessarily having an e-commerce site. But the best way for you to go is to have your own e-commerce site, because all the other platforms want a piece of the action. They take a percentage or a piece of the sale. So multi-channel spans different channels like social, Facebook, Walmart, Etsy, and those different platforms. What omni-channel means is you've got to integrate your different methods of shopping with you and delivering with a consistent and personalized experience across all the channels. Next slide. So the biggest and best online platform is Shopify. They make it easy for you to get your product online. You can join Shopify and be in the on the lawn online business by the end of today. So that's how easy they make it. And they have, all of them right now have free trials. So Shopify has 14 days. Some of the others like e-commerce or BigCommerce, Wix, what's the other one? Lightspeed, HQ. There's lots of different ways to go online. So pick one that suits you the best. So let's move to your website real quick. There's a couple things I want you to do to your website right away. There's two things. I want you to embed a video onto your website. And I teach this year round. It's one of the biggest tips I have is putting a 30-second video onto your website. And how do you get it there? You upload it onto YouTube. You play the video and a button comes up and you click that button and it says, what do you want to do with this video? Embed it or email it. And you're going to check embed, and then you're going to go to your admin panel, embed the video on the. So what's the video about? Well, it used to be your elevator speech. It used to be, what do you do that's better and different than anybody else? But the most important piece of the elevator speech is why the customer should care. What's in it for them? Are they going to find gifts for their best? Listen, gift giving is very different this year. It means more because some people aren't seeing the people that they've seen for years, over the past several years. And gift giving is so important now because we're all isolated and we're grieving. We are actually grieving during this time, and you've got to make that easier for them and better. What's the second half of the video? It's what you've done to your store to make it safe, because I don't want anyone showing up to your doorstep and being surprised. What do you mean I got to wear a mask? What do you mean you're practicing 6-foot distancing? What do you mean you're only letting a certain number of people in the store at a time? Listen, that's what it's come to. Right now we're going backwards. We're not going forwards. So let them know what you've done to make it a safe place to shop. The other thing is make sure you have a Google business page. That's the page that has the map and the thumbtack. And underneath the map and the thumbtack are 3 buttons: call, directions, and website. There is no better preview to your space and company and business than a Google business page. So if you don't have one, how do you get one? Do this. Go to Google, go to the browser window, and type in GYBO. Stands for Get Your Business Online. Fill out the form and get yourself a Google business page. It's also a place where you can post up to, I think, 25 photographs. You can post videos there. You get Google reviews there. It's an incredibly important page to get found. And today in America, if you're not on the first page of results with Google, you won't get found, because Americans believe, and they're right, that you should work your way to the first page because it's important. And what's that video do for you? I'll tell you what it does for you. Who owns YouTube? Jennifer, do you know who owns YouTube?
Google.
Exactly. What do you think Google looks for first when they do a search? Video, because they own YouTube. So the mere fact that you have a video on your homepage and the people that are competing with you don't, you will show up in search results before they do. That was worth coming to this seminar for. That's $2,000 worth of search engine optimization I just gave you. Okay, so listen up. You can add it says right here, Google says that you'll get 42% more requests for directions and phone calls and 35 more click-throughs to your site, 35% more click-throughs, if you have photos and videos on your Google My Business page. Next slide, Jennifer. Holiday your website. Make it look like the holidays, for God's sake. So put some graphics on there. And it's not just about Christmas. It's about all the holidays we have in the month of December. We have Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Christmas. I mean, there's a bunch of different holidays going on that a bunch of different ethnicities are celebrating. So make your business, make your homepage look like the holidays, and then put some things on here that look at the list on the right-hand side of that page. The owner gives a 30-second holiday message. There are gift lists of popular items. I believe in this. I ran 105 clothing stores. And what we always did is gifts under 25, gifts under 50, gifts under 100, and gifts under 10,000. We did the 10,000 as tongue in cheek, but we did have a top coat that had a beaver fur collar that was 10 grand. So those lists help. Go back a second, Jennifer. Look at the center. I don't know if it's too small for you to see, but it's a list of the dates that you have to ship by carrier to get the product in time for the holidays. That is an awesome thing to have on your website. Ship by the 19th, ship by the 12th. It depends what carrier you're using and whether you're paying for a preferred service or not, but we'll get there in our fulfillment piece. So what are some easy e-commerce strategies? Make sure that the navigation and search capabilities of your site are easy and effective. Brush up on your product, photographs and descriptions. Personalize the homepage. Focus on unique and consistent content. Step up your email blasts. Emails work. Have a good shopping cart and checkout. Have a very active and robust social media program between Instagram and Facebook. Most advertising budgets are somewhere between 2 and 4% of gross sales. Because of the internet today, I think small independently owned business can stay closer to 2% than they do to go to 4%. Because a lot of what I'm telling you to do on the internet doesn't cost you any money to do. So you don't have to spend. But I believe in co-op advertising. I believe that you all got to get together and may do a co-op ad in the local paper. And I believe those things. I think you ought to have, most of the big annual events have been canceled. So a lot of merchants have got to get together and produce some smaller, locally produced events, because events drive traffic. We just know it's true. And the big events have been canceled because of you can't have crowds of over 250 or something. So anyways, next slide. Mm-hmm. So 5 important steps to your digital strategy to find your goals. Are you trying to brand your company, support your community, sell your products, improve your SEO with a video on your homepage, and good photographs and keywords? The notion of keywords, simply do this. Take out a blank piece of paper, and I want you to write on this piece of paper every word you think people put in their browser window to find your store. So just write on a piece of paper what you think people put in there to find you. Use those words over and over again in everything that is in print or in a video or on the web or on your social media. Use the words that are common to your business and category. It's kind of like the notion of hashtags. I mean, you want to get people that are interested in your category and your store. So use keywords. And
I
then
almost feel like we need to do a separate meeting just on how they can do that a little more effectively, and even on some of the Google things, because if you said to put that on a blank piece of paper, if they took those words then and started to put them in a Google search, they would see other things come up that people are searching for that are similar in
absolutely,
words.
absolutely.
And
Listen,
make sure that they tag those photos with a name instead of it leaving it,
yeah,
just
tag them.
picture one.
Tag them. And the other thing I want you to do is ask people to check in on Facebook while they're in your store. Maybe you have a basket full of trinkets or little gift items you can give them and say, hey, free gift if you check in while you're here. Hey, if you do a live Zoom video with your friends while you're in my store, I'll give you a discount.
Or perhaps
It's
leave me a
things like
review. Ask for
that.
those
It's the
reviews.
small things that separate you from the rest. Next slide. Make your social media work. I mean, I could do a whole thing on social media, and we'll talk about it probably a little bit in the fulfillment session as well. But listen, you got to be posting every day, and you better learn how to sell on Facebook and Instagram, because both have formats now where they can collect the money for you. It's two new channels. And when you think about pivoting, and I know you've heard the word pivot, and I know everybody's talking to you about it. Pivot doesn't mean just change direction. What pivot means is find new ways to make money. Find new categories that you might not have sold before that you think now make sense. Because I want to tell you this, there are things that you used to do that simply don't work anymore because of the pandemic. So I want you to stop doing those things.
Do you think there's a certain time, Mark?
I'm sorry?
Do you think there's a certain time of day that people look at retail posts more? If you're posting on social media, which time of the day do you think is most effective?
I think that the number one time that people look at posts is 7 p.m. But
that's what you think for retail, because I think it varies on different industries.
I think it's people, well, it may happen differently now because people are working from home. So they have time to look at their Facebook and their Instagram while they're at their computer, because they're at their computer all day. 7 used to be the number one time because it's people had gotten home, eaten dinner, and gotten on their computer. Mm-hmm. So, but if you go to Facebook and go to the analytics, it'll show you when most of your posts are open. Mm-hmm. So if it varies by business, go to Facebook and go into the analytics, double click on the number of fans or likes that you have, and it'll show you the age group that's following you. And if you run Facebook ads, which I encourage you to do, you can begin to target who it gets boosted to based on the demographics of your current customers. So that's an important thing to know. So let's switch hats and go to fulfillment and e-commerce. The good news is we're going to repeat a couple things, a couple slides, because in order to introduce fulfillment, I had to tell them why fulfillment's important. So I had to tell them a little bit about e-commerce. So that's the same slide you've already seen before. Mm-hmm. So let's blow past that. You must be omni-channel. We've already talked about that. So let's blow past that.
Say what BOPIS is?
Yes, let's do that. It's so huge. I can't believe I haven't even mentioned it yet. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Okay, what is BOPS? That's how you pronounce it, BOPS. It's the biggest thing going right now. It's buy online, pick up in store. It's the number one way people are picking up products, particularly at big boxes. They don't want to go in that big box. They don't want to be around all those people. They want to pull up to the door and have someone put the box in the back of their car and move on. So BOPS is only favored by one other method from most consumers as being safest. The safest way to get a product to your customer is to deliver it to them locally. So if your customers are either in a 5-mile radius, maybe a 10-mile radius, the safest way to get a product to them is to take it to them. So that's one of the 4 ways. Delivery, and that might not be realistic for you in terms of your staffing. So BOPS is the next best thing. Call me when you get here. I'll have someone bring your box out to you and put it in your car. And restaurants are living and dying by that right now. In fact, there's usually 5 spots out front, and it says, call us call this number and tell us what spot you're in. And retailers can do the same thing if you have more than one customer coming at one time to pick up product. Here's another thing I want you to know. I just read a report that said 67% of the people that come to your store to pick up a product end up buying something else. 67%. So that's another. And as we get into this fulfillment, using BOPS is less expensive because at the end of the day, someone has to pay for the shipping. It's either going to be the customer or it's going to be you. But if you do BOPS, there is no shipping cost. So the customer saves money because you didn't mark up the product to cover the shipping. And you save money because you didn't ship it. So BOPS is extremely important. Thank you for pointing that out, Jennifer.
You know, Leslie is in the downtown. The chamber is actually in the heart of downtown around the courthouse, and there's many businesses around that. And we saw the curbside pickup for some of our restaurants on there, but we haven't seen it quite as much for the retailers. So
they should be using
They don't
that.
have as much designated parking spot. If you're a location that doesn't have as good designated parking spot that's just for your store, but you're in a downtown business district, do you have some recommendations of how they have addressed that?
I do. Our entire town, and I live in a small town. I live in Leesburg, Virginia. They've put a bag or a sack over the meter in front of every locally owned store, and that has become a buy online, pick up in store, free parking space that people aren't allowed to park in. It's only for pickup. And they put a sack over every, some stores that are highly enlightened, I mean, some towns like mine, parking is not charged for during the holidays. Yeah, we have a sack over our meter in every meter in the town for the month of November and December. You shouldn't be charging customers to park downtown to shop downtown, right?
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Silver Springs, so.
No, Silver Springs has a glass bathroom.
I know it, and they need to come downtown and use it.
That's why everybody's going there. Hey, so there's BOPS and what are the advantages, and I go a little further to say you ought to actually compensate or incentivize the customer to use BOPS.
I love this locker, this slide on the locker. Leslie and I talked about that, about designated spots to pick up.
Yeah, that's the future. That's BOPIL, buy online, pick up in locker. So you might be able to find, you know what a town could do? They could take an empty location and put a bunch of lockers in there from the high school that isn't using them right now, and have, a place to pick up your packages. Right. So that's kind of a cool idea too.
Yeah, Leslie and I kind of chatted about that, looking downtown to see where we could use a place.
Yeah, I was in a downtown that used a central place for the carriers to pick up shipping. So everybody took their stuff to the same place so that the carrier could pick it up at one spot. So I thought that was kind of cool. One of the things you ought to do in your store is set up an area to ship. So you ought to have a shipping scale, and you ought to have bubble paper and bubble wrap and boxes and tape and labels. And here are the 4 A's that I told you before: anytime, any place, any way, anywhere. That's the way the customer wants to get their product today. And you've got to cater to their desires because they're in the driver's seat. Okay? Especially for small business. And then what are the 3 W's when it comes to fulfillment? The 3 W's are what, weight, and where. So how much you ought to know, like your ABCs, you ought to know the dimensions and the weight of your best-selling products. So there's no guesswork on your part. I know exactly how much that candle weighs because we sell hundreds of them. So the other thing I recommend is that, I like to pre-wrap my highest velocity products. I like to pre-wrap them. And I like to make a little pile of them or a pyramid and have one unwrapped in front of it and say, you know, here's a great stocking stuffer, or here's one of our most sought after gifts, or this is our best selling gift every year. And dudes love it. They'll come in and go, I'll take a half a dozen of those, and I'll take 4 of those, and they fill up their bag with their gifts that are already wrapped. And I want you to be able to ship some gifts that are already wrapped. How cool would it be for someone to get their shipment from you and open the box and half the gifts are already wrapped for you? It's a great idea. Next, you know what dimensional weight is? You probably never heard of it, because I've been in retail for 45 years and I've never heard of it. Dimensional weight is how big is the box. And know that, look at that last point. Typically, a large, light package is more expensive to ship than a small, heavy package. So dimensional weight means size and weight. And that's what a lot of carriers use to figure out how much to charge you to ship an item. So you want to determine the billable weight of a product. And also know that carriers will charge you to cross over zones. So get their zone map. So you know if someone's buying it from you in Texas, but shipping it to Boston, how many zones it'll go through and how much it'll cost you or them. Next slide.
So which of our carriers is the simplest one that has the least?
Don't jump ahead of me. Don't steal my thunder, Jennifer.
I just want you to answer. Give us some.
I will answer it. There's a whole slide on it. Okay. So here's a home page of a website. Here's what they've done. I think you can see this now. Free ground shipping must be shipped by December 19th. FedEx 2-day must be shipped by the 22nd. FedEx overnight must be shipped by the 23rd. USPS Priority International must be shipped by December 10th. USPS Priority Military must be shipped by December 17th. Clearly communicate your shipping deadlines and your return policy. No surprises. Post your shipping and return policy on your website. And then the fourth W of the W's is when. When do you need to have it shipped by? When do you need to buy it by for you to receive it and then ship it to the people that are receiving it? So you got to know the when. Next slide.
I was noticing it said that the free shipping was also on just 125.
Don't steal my thunder. Next slide.
Okay. All right, I'm reading your mind.
Other tips: invest in a postal scale. I already told you that. Consider flat rate shipping. If you can get your product into one of those Mylar envelopes that's lined with bubble paper, it's cheaper than shipping a box. And they make them in paper too with bubble wrap inside them. Communicate your return policy. Make it easy. Most businesses that have their act together ship a label in there in case they need to exchange it or return it. So put a shipping label in there. There's 2 things I want you to include in your box that the big boxes don't. I want a handwritten thank you note from you, thanking that customer to shop with you during this difficult time and supporting their community by supporting small business. The second thing I want in there is a be back coupon, a bounce back coupon, an offer for them to shop again before the holidays are over with a discount.
Nice.
So get a bounce back coupon in that box. Okay, next slide. Have any of you seen the movie The Intern with Anne Hathaway and Don?
I'm kind of looking at your 4th bullet there on the slide that before we leave it. This make it easy for customers to track their shipment, and I don't know if that varies with which shipping carrier you use.
That's exactly what it varies with.
With the retailer,
use the carrier where you can track the shipment.
I was actually thinking whenever you charge your card, I don't know how many with this online e-commerce people say, well, I never got it. Well, then you as a retailer have proof that they received it as well, so that way to handle any charges that
there's a couple ways to do. There's 2 ways to do that.
Okay.
Use a carrier that has that ability to track the shipment, or use a third-party shipping company that does all the shipping for you, and they negotiate the rates. and they do the tracking, and they do your returns, and they do everything for you. And I'll show you who that is in a minute. All right, who's the top in who's who in shipping? You've got the USPS with free supplies. Notice that all 4 of these carriers will supply you with your supplies for free. So make sure you get the supplies from the carrier. Don't go out and buy them. So free priority mail starter kit, click and ship, last mile delivery. That shows you, it shows you where your package is and the number of stops it is away from your store or your home. And then it's 2 to 8 business days on average. And then you have UPS, your larger shipments, 1 to 5 business days. You have FedEx for fast deliveries, can be as quick as 1 to 4 days. And then you have DHL. They're an expert in international shipping. So, and they're 3 to 8 days. So there are your different carriers. So what are you going to do? What's your strategy when it comes to shipping? You're either going to charge the customer or you're going to pay for it. And one of the ways to do this, if you want to offer free shipping but can't afford to across the board, is set a limit on what they have to buy to get free shipping. So say $50 or more, get free shipping, $100 or more. And you have to come up with that number based on your average sale. And you should be able to get that right off your point of sale device. That you should be able to run a report that gives you the average sale by customer. So free shipping, if you spend $50 or more, is a great program because it's already proven that people will buy enough products to reach that goal, because they know by buying enough products to reach the goal, they've in fact paid for the third product by saving the shipping costs. The other thing that's a thorn in the side of online businesses is what we call cart abandonment. What's that mean, abandoned carts? It means people have started to fill their cart, they've decided to buy stuff, so then they've gone to the shipping calculator. And the shipping calculator has said, oh, it'll cost you $20 to get this stuff to where you want it shipped. People leave the site because they don't want to spend the $20. That's an abandoned cart. And online people try to avoid that at all costs. In fact, there's some software out there that will automatically generate an email to someone that's abandoned their cart.
I get that all the time.
You know that scarf you looked at? Are you still interested in it? That's the 9-word email that should go out to people that have abandoned carts.
Or they offer a discount. You follow up and say, hey, you forgot this. And
or you know what you were looking at? Well, guess what? It's on sale now. And the other great way to go on sale, by the way, everybody, is BOGO. Buy one, get one. Buy one, get one half off. Bundling is the best way to go on sale. Because what does the customer remember? They remember 50 off or free. Because the consumer thinks that they aren't getting a bargain deal until they get 50 off. We spoiled them with the last recession in 2008. And a bunch of people went 50 off because they needed the cash flow. So what they remember is free or 50 off. But what you're marking it down is only 25%. Because they're buying one at full price and getting 1.5 off. So anyways, know that. Listen, I started to tell you a story about The Intern, the movie The Intern with Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro. The reason I'm telling you this story is she owned an online clothing company, and she received a box in the mail from her own company, and she was disappointed by the box. So she met with everybody in charge of shipping her products and went over some decorum and some expectations. So think about this. When someone receives a shipment from you, they will make a decision on your business based on how that box arrived. Was it on time? Was it dented? Was the product damaged inside? Was there nice tissue paper inside. So things like logos on tissue paper. Instead of buying boxes, get them free from the carrier, but buy a stamp or a label that you can brand your store with the box. And there's a place called Sticker Mule that sells stickers and tape. What about taping up the box with tape that has your logo all over it? That's a great idea. By the way, Amazon does that. Their tape has Amazon on it, so it's probably a good idea. And then make sure the inside of the box is pleasant and pleasing. So use nice tissue paper. We used to use Stribbon and folded boxes in my clothing company. And people used to buy product for us because of the box. And Stribbon's just gold elastic ribbon that goes around the box. And the box had our logo on, our gift boxes had our logo on it. So people wouldn't even have to wrap them. They wanted to see a Britches of Georgetowne box under the tree because we enjoyed a reputation of being a high class, high service men's and women's clothing store. So
I look at this box and I think it would make me feel good to receive it.
Yes.
You look at this box on it and you feel good when you get it. And
Yes.
when I was in a store recently, they didn't have, it was a store that only had a limited number of products. It didn't have the size that I needed. And so, you know what? They said, well, we can make that sell for you and we'll just ship it to you. You know, we don't have it in the store in the inventory. And so they completed the sale and then they just got it to my house 2 days later. It's
You
like
know what else a client told me? If the customer will tell them what they want on the thank you note to the recipient, she'll do a handwritten thank you note to the person receiving the gift with your message on it.
I think that thank you note is going to make them stand out. It's going to make me want to keep doing business with that merchant.
There's no question about it. So have a strategy, decide who's paying for the shipping. Consider outsourcing your shipment, and the three big ones are Shippo, ShipStation, and Pirate Ship. They're all third-party shipping providers that do it for you. So research those if you're interested, and there's also free trials for them. So what's wrong with getting a 30-day free trial from Pirate Ship and let them do your shipping?
What exactly
and then
do they
always
handle
list
for
your
you?
shipping and return policies on your website, or you might even put a card, kind of a printed card inside the box.
How does that work? Can you kind of give me just a little bit of breakdown of how that works, what Pirate Ship does?
Well, there's several different ways, but Pirate Ship, I think actually you send them some inventory and they actually house your inventory and ship directly from their fulfillment center. Okay. So they just take care of all of it for you.
Well, see, I'd seen FedEx does that, but I thought they usually have to get to a certain minimum order quantity that you're shipping out before it makes sense, or you have to have a certain amount of bulk inventory, because even Amazon works like that. They'll take care of your order fulfillment as long as you keep enough quantity in their warehouse.
That's correct. And I can't get into the weeds with you right now on the individual third parties, but it's an easy Google search.
Okay.
Next. Thank you.
That's
hey, look what time it is, 2:01.
We ended it just perfect. I tell you what, we fit 2 presentations in one topic and gave a tremendous amount of information. We probably need to hit some of those bullets and hand it out to some of those chamber members of Leslie's to help them know.
Why don't the chamber email their members